Welcome back, friends. iRelat here with a story about a woman who realized her husband had a strange fetish after it was a little too late. So she says, "My husband's 32 and I'm 24. We've been married for 2 years and together for 3. I knew when we first met that he wanted a big family. He would joke that he wants his own starting lineup, which I thought was sweet, and that he just wanted to be a family man. I wanted a big family too. We were both the only child growing up, and it gets pretty lonely. I was actually pregnant when we first met, and he raised my son as if it were his own. Since the day we got married, we tried for another baby and were pregnant not long after our wedding. Our daughter is now 16 months old, and I'm currently 30 weeks pregnant with another boy. I absolutely adore our family. I love being a stay-at-home mom, but it does get exhausting. Yesterday, my husband and I were working on the nursery together, and he joked that we should have just bought 2 cribs so we could just put the next baby in the same nursery. I laughed along and then asked when I should expect him to be wanting another baby. He surprised me by saying as soon as we can. We're about to have 3 kids. That's quite a lot to handle, even as a full-time mom. I suggested that maybe we take a bit of a break between the next one, and he said absolutely not. He said that I knew he wanted a big family and that it was my job to fulfill that dream of his. It's her job to fulfill his dream? That sounds kind of weird. I understand this and am more than happy to do so. I just didn't think he meant having kids nearly back to back. My body needs time to heal, and I've been using it to feed these kids for the past 2.5 years. I'd like to have at least a 2 or 3 year break so we don't just have all toddlers, and he doesn't like my idea of waiting at all. This is the only thing we've ever had a disagreement on. I know he loves me being the perfect pregnant homemaker, but I need a break. To anyone concerned here, I do have an education. I have my master's degree. I have my own friends, and I have my own income from being a published author. It's not just kids 24/7. Man, this woman sounds like she's got it going on. Married with all these kids, a master's degree, and an income from writing, all under 25? Good for her. So we have all these people in the comments, some of them in the medical field, saying it's unhealthy for a woman to have babies back to back like this. But she's got an even bigger problem, which is what we're about to find out. And it's a problem that I didn't even know was a thing or possible. So a few days later, this woman realized there was more going on with this situation than she initially knew, and she made another post where she says, "I posted recently about my husband wanting a big family and I can't keep up. Well, now I know that the only reason he married me was to fulfill his breeding fetish." Breeding fetish. After I made my post the other day, a lot of people commented that he may have a breeding kink. Bro, I've heard of a lot of weird things. This has to be one of the weirdest. I didn't know what that was, and after doing some Googling, a lot of things my husband is into and does did align. So I decided to sit down with him and talk about it, just ask him outright if this is something he enjoys. When I asked him, he did admit to having a breeding or pregnancy fetish, and he thought that I knew that. How the hell would she know that? Like, who the hell even knows what that is, let alone just coming to that conclusion? Honey, didn't you realize the reason I want you pregnant constantly is to fulfill my fetish? Do your job. Does he just expect her to be pregnant for the rest of their lives? That's not even possible. This guy's just bringing tons of people into the world because he likes banging pregnant chicks. And what happens when she's too old to have kids? Is he gonna leave her for some other chick and continue having kids with her? Is this woman married to Nick Cannon? And how many kids can this guy afford to have to fulfill this fetish? If he's not Nick Cannon, what is he doing to pay for all this? So she says, "I was pregnant when I met him. I've basically been pregnant or feeding ever since. And he always insists on me getting pregnant rather quickly. I just didn't know it was a thing. And looking back on it, I feel really dumb for overlooking it." Well, there's no reason to feel dumb because no one could have guessed that this is what this guy was into. Except for Nick Cannon. I then told him that after we have our son in a few weeks, I'd like to take a break for at least 2 years, maybe even more. He reminded me of his response before, that he doesn't want to wait for that long. I told him that I'm exhausted, my body needs a break, and our kids will need my attention now more than ever. He was furious with me, asking me why I would do that to him, knowing that this is what he needs. That this is something he expects during our marriage, and we did discuss having a large family before we got married. I asked what he would do if I didn't want any more kids, and he said that he would find someone else. Well, I guess that answers my question. That we could still be married, he would give me whatever I wanted, but he should still get what he wants too. I feel disgusted, stupid, and naive. I feel like our marriage is a sham and I've been a vessel for him this whole time. I feel completely taken advantage of. Whoa, this is a weird one. So this guy just expects her to stay married to him while he's out having tons of kids with random other women? How could he possibly afford to continue this? And at what point does it stop? This has got to be the most expensive addiction on the planet. And what are these kids gonna think when they're older? When they have 50 siblings with a bunch of different moms? Good thing this guy's rich, because he's gonna be paying for a lot of therapy in 15 to 20 years. This story started out sounding like the perfect, wholesome American dream, and now it seems like it's turning into a nightmare. So the very top comment below says, divorce him and see if he has a child support kink too. No kidding. Then another person says, in the hospital I met a single 44-year-old man with 52 kids and 30-some grandkids and 15 or so great-grandkids. He didn't believe in birth control. 44? Good lord. This guy has more kids than years he's been alive. How could he possibly have great-grandkids at 44? What was he, getting girls pregnant when he was 10? There's no way this comment's true. If this is true, the apple must not have fallen far from the tree. But as for the original poster, man, I feel bad for this woman. How could she possibly have seen this coming? And this guy seems like a completely selfish weirdo. He has no concern for the wife, her health, or the kids. All he cares about is this ridiculous thing that he's into. There's no way you could possibly raise your kids normally with this kind of thing going on. It takes so much work and energy to raise your kids properly, so just the simple fact that he's gonna have all these different kids, there's no way he could possibly pay enough attention to all of them for them to grow up normally. And on top of that, just the fact that they know their dad is this kind of person and that they were born as a result of his weird fetish is gonna cause them problems. This guy's doing his family and society no favors. Typically, I'm not the type to suggest divorce, but in this situation, what other option do you really have? Some of the commenters are saying this, and I have to agree that if she doesn't leave now, how is she going to be able to get child support from him later if she divorces him after he's got 40 kids? She can't stay with him because she knows he's just going to cheat and go have kids with other people. And if she does stay and just lets him go do what he wants, at what point is he going to run out of resources for her and her kids? So she really has no choice but to leave. And even if she does leave, he's still going to go have a bunch of other kids with other people, which is most likely going to affect her kids no matter what. This is why, to all you people out there who think you can get to know someone and get married after just a couple of years, you can't. I mean, obviously this is a unique situation and sometimes people do know pretty quickly if someone's right for them, but in my opinion, you gotta be with them for at least 3 years or more before you can really tell who they actually are. Cause now this woman's life, at least for the time being, is essentially ruined. If I were her, I'd get on birth control, but play it cool and act like I was gonna go along with this guy's stupid plan. Do everything possible to avoid getting pregnant again, and in the meantime, seek a lawyer or start taking steps to make my next move, which has to be divorce. Then, once I had all my ducks in a row, I would lay the divorce on him and move on. It's unfortunate that the perfect life this woman thought she had is crumbling, but there's no way she can be happy and continue things with this guy. He's a weirdo. But what's your opinion about this situation? Tell us all in the comments, and thanks for subscribing, clicking like, or sharing this video. Info's in the description if you want to contact me with any questions or suggest a post or a video for me to respond to. Definitely check out the rest of the channel, and I'll see you later. Peace.